All right, hello. Apologies for the hoodie. My bedroom is freezing here, and I'm really wishing I were in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina at this point. But what we have here is a chi-squared problem. The first two steps ask us to calculate the sample standard deviation of the degrees of freedom. I'm going to do that here really quickly and then get to the main thing I want to do, which is calculate the chi-squared statistic. So I'm just going to grab this data, Control C that to get it to the clipboard, and I'm going to paste special as Unicode. It's just going to come in a little cleaner that way. So rather than get the sample standard deviation, which I could, I'm just going to directly get the variance of the sample. So that's var.s of these. You can also get this directly on the TI calculators or Casio calculators, I believe. If you can't, just get the sample standard deviation and then multiply it by itself. And same with SPSS if you would be using that. The population variance, then we have the population standard deviation is 0.4%. And here's a little tricky thing to keep an eye on. All of these values here are actually in percents already. So if you're tempted to convert this to a decimal and have 0.004, I commend you on that attention to detail, because that's typically what we need to do. The issue is that all of these are already in percents, so we're going to keep that as 0.4. Alternatively, you could convert all of these things to a decimal, and that would also work. But to stay consistent, we're going to keep 0.4, and that's the standard deviation. The standard deviation here is 0.4. Since I'm going to need the variance for the formula, I'm going to go ahead and take that 0.4 and multiply it by itself. So if you have standard deviation and you need the variance, you just square it, multiply it by itself. And then the actual formula here that we are looking at is this right here. The chi-squared equals that degrees of freedom, which in this case we have 6 data points, so that would just be 5 up there, times sample variance divided by population variance. So let's go ahead and calculate that. So we'll take the 5, which is 6 data points minus 1, so just 1 fewer than the number of data points we have, times that sample variance, and don't really need these parentheses here, but then divided by this population variance, and this will give us our chi-squared statistic. If it wouldn't give you enough decimal places in Excel, you would just need to format cells and make sure that you're getting as many as you need there. So in our case, we need 2.7315. 2.7315. I'm going to enter that to. If you see my original answer there, I made that mistake of converting this to a decimal and then had to go back and read it, but I assume this will now give me a correct answer, and it does. So again, that process you really could have done by hand, especially once you had the sample standard deviation. I would certainly use technology. If you don't know how to use SPSS or your calculator to get the sample standard deviation from a group of data points, I'd recommend Googling that or writing me if you can't find it. Once you get that, then it's just squaring that to get variance, squaring the population standard deviation to get this population variance, and then degrees of freedom times this number divided by this number to get our chi-squared statistic.